everyone, in this video I'm going to explore what is going to happen to our good friend Scott McCall in this final season of Teen Wolf by following him throughout the seasons using a narrative technique called the hero's journey to find out basically what is going to happen to Scott at the end of season 6. Step 1. Ordinary world. This step refers to the hero's normal life at the start of the story before the adventure begins. Basically, this refers to Scott in season 1 when he was still a human being and he still has an insecurity. It's in this particular stage where you kind of find out who the hero is for now and sort of like where we can be going with this. Step 2. Call to adventure. The hero is faced with something that makes him begin his adventure. This might be a problem or a challenge he needs to overcome. Well, Scott getting turned into a werewolf clearly was a problem and a challenge that he had to overcome, so that makes sense. Step 3. Refusal of the call. The hero attempts to refuse the adventure because he is afraid. In season 1, Scott was clearly not very comfortable with his additional new powers, and he was struggling on trying to keep a normal life while trying to get used to being a werewolf. Step 4. Meeting with the mentor. The hero encounters someone who can give him advice and ready him for the journey ahead. So in this particular case, is Scott meeting with our good friend Derek and learning how to harness his abilities. That's that particular stage of the evolution. Step 5. Crossing the first threshold. The hero leaves his ordinary world for the first time and crosses the threshold into adventure. This is where Scott basically starts to use his powers, not just to learn how to control them, but also to help others, which is something that comes naturally to him since he's such a good guy. Step 6. Tests, allies, and enemies. The hero learns the rules of his new world. During this time, he endures tests of strength and will, meets friends, and comes face to face with foes. Now this particular part is interesting because this actually happens over the span of multiple seasons as Scott meets new friends, encounters countless foes, and throughout this process is essentially learning, growing, becoming the hero that we know he can be. Step 7. Approach. Setbacks occur, sometimes causing the hero to try a new approach or adopt new ideas. In this particular case, I would say it really starts at the end of season 4 when Scott decides not to kill Peter and really embraces being the true alpha and recognizing that Peter was actually the monster, not him. That's super important because it sets him up for the next step that is super crucial. Step 8. Ordeal. The hero experiences a major hurdle or obstacle such as a life or death crisis. And here I'm referring to last season where Scott basically died and got resurrected thanks to the supermoon and thanks to Melissa really doing everything she could to bring him back. But that was the ultimate crisis because all the way up until then he was not himself, he was weak. But in that moment where he's coming back, that's him facing the ultimate ordeal and surviving it. Step 9. Reward. After surviving death, the hero earns his reward or accomplishes his goal. And for me, that was exemplified in the final episodes of the previous season, in which Scott reunited with Liam, even though Liam tried to kill him, brought Hayden into the pack, and actually got rid of Theo, who wasn't really truly part of the pack. Yes! And it's in that moment that Scott gets what he really wants, which is basically having a pack, having a family that surrounds him. Step 10. The road back. The hero begins his journey back to his ordinary life. So if you've had the opportunity of watching the first 6 minutes of the season, I'll put the link in the description below. There's a scene between Scott and Styles in which basically they're discussing the fact that their need for their services in Beacon Hills is coming to an end, and they're trying to essentially get back to normal and move on with their lives. You know, high school is ending, they just need to step away from it. So he's at that particular stage at the beginning of the season. Step 11. Resurrection hero. The hero faces a final test where everything is at stake and he must use everything he has learned. Enter the new villains of the season, the werewolf Nazi and the Ghost Riders, who basically are going to be the most formidable foes Scott and his crew have ever had to deal with. Step 12. Return with Elixir. The hero brings his knowledge or the elixir back to the ordinary world, where he applies it to help all who remain there. So for me, that's gonna be the end of the series. When Scott has won all the battles, overcome his biggest foes, he's gonna ascend to the full status of who he truly is, aka the protector of the innocent, a true hero. And it's in that moment that Scott is going to end his journey. So in my opinion, Scott is going to survive the final season of Teen Wolf. But that's what I think. What do you think? Do you think that that's how Scott's journey is gonna end? Do you think there's gonna be a different outcome? Comment below, let me know. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our Teen Wolf videos. Also, as a reminder, we will be reviewing Teen Wolf after each episode has aired, so make sure you don't miss that. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye. I'm not enough of the hero in the end of the night.
You need to sing it better.
I don't sing. You know I'm keeping this, right?
No.
Yes!
Don't.
I'm totally keeping
No.
this, yes!
No.
Yes! This is outro gold!